For more analysis, we're joined by Alexei Anisin, the Dean of the School of International Relations and Diplomacy at the Anglo-American University in Prague, and the author of the book Mass Shootings in Central and Eastern Europe. And he's speaking with us from the Czech capital. Thank you so much for being here with us. So I want to start with what we just heard from our reporter there, that mass shootings in Europe being few and far between. But are the numbers growing?
Hi, thanks. Good morning. And it seems as if it is the case that there are more and more incidents. In recent years, there have been, an array of different cases that have typically been carried out by relatively young offenders. And obviously, yesterday's gruesome incident was one of those.
Yeah. One of the student survivors of the Prague shooting told CNN that he felt like mass shootings were spreading like a disease from the U.S. to Europe. Now, this is something that you have warned about, that mass shootings will go up in Europe, inspired by what's happening here in the U.S. Why is that?
Well, I think it largely boils down to, these new forms of communication. Many young people learn how to live their lives with aid or through the internet. And the phenomenon of, cross-border diffusion of an idea to carry out a mass killing has been referred to as a copycat shooting. And from yesterday's attack, we can see clear behavior in which the offender, he probably studied other previous cases that resulted in high fatality rates. He planned the attack. He was highly militarized, and it would be strange if it was just a random act that he thought of the morning of. It seemed like he planned it, and there are a number of other cases, especially in recent years in the Russian Federation, where you've had direct sympathizers to U.S. mass shooters. So people carrying out mass shootings in the name of, the Columbine killers and similar previous high-profile cases in the U.S. So, yeah, there seems to be a process of diffusion going on.
Yeah, even down to the way they dress and so on, right?
Yep.
So you touched on, the fact that this was a young male. I mean, let's go into that a bit more detail. Who are the shooters typically? What kind of gender and age profile are we looking at here?
Yeah, so this is the actual interesting thing here. So I've had several comparative analyses of, Central and Eastern European mass shooters and American mass shooters. So the age is typically from age 33 to 34 on average. And in the U.S. Context, it's about 95% male. In the Central and Eastern European regions, my data indicates that it's all males. So thus far, I have not identified any female shooters. And as I said earlier, in recent years, it seems really that the younger demographic seems to be, the main culprit of who's carrying out these attacks.
So when we're talking about the rise of the number of mass shootings in Europe, the cultural export of this phenomenon from the U.S., that's one thing. The availability of guns is another thing. I mean, we've seen 20 times more mass shootings in the U.S. compared to Europe, which has a much bigger population. So gun regulations obviously work, and they're quite strict generally in Europe. So are guns becoming easier to get in Europe now?
Well, on average, it's more difficult to acquire a gun legally in a European Union country than it is to acquire a driver's license in a car. The estimations on firearm ownership, like per capita, so per 100 residents, like the Czech Republic is 12.53 firearms per 100 people. The U.S. is over 120. So yeah, there's a massive difference, and it's much more difficult, obviously, to acquire a gun. But as you mentioned, there's this cultural aspect, and it seems like that's really what is tied to these recent attacks. And I think if you look at criminological research, there are few studies that would say total numbers of guns are correlated with causing a mass shooting, but nevertheless, the total number of guns in a society are correlated with, outbursts of violent crime. The difficulty with mass shootings is that there are, on average, right, it's such a rare form of homicide in comparison to others. So to put things into perspective, at least according to my data, yesterday's attack here was only the fourth mass shooting in the country's history. So,
yeah. Here, mass shootings, gun violence, I mean, it's such a divisive political issue because so many people are against gun control. Are political solutions more feasible there? Are there other solutions that could prevent this culture from growing until it sort of mirrors what we're seeing here in the U.S.?
I think the current regulatory structures that are in place here are already quite developed, because you have, national level regulation, and then you have European Union level regulation, which is somewhat analogous to, state level regulation in the US and then federal regulation. I think after yesterday's attack, there probably in this country, at least from what I'm seeing already, there are already political discussions being carried out about what could be done to prevent such a thing in the future. So with the current regulations in place, it seems as if Europeans are inclined to favor stricter restrictions on firearms, and like many of your viewers would know, there's no Second Amendment across the board, so to speak, in any European Union country.
We'll have to leave it there, but really appreciate your insights, Alexei Anisin. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks.